Here I am in Munich. Find out why.
Drink, the pastime of billions across the globe. Something that has defined humanity since as long as it's been around. Something that's become so important that it's spawned countless festivals in every corner of the globe. But, of course, the biggest has to be the one held every September in Munich, Deutschland, Oktoberfest. Nothing says raging alcoholic and early morning street sweepers like Oktoberfest. Which is why this year I've booked myself a ticket over to Germany to specifically try and avoid the fun, and to answer the age-old question, can you survive Oktoberfest without drinking? The journey starts in Dublin, obviously, a place where that question already has a parallel problem, because the truthful answer is you can't really survive in Dublin without drinking, or at least if you do, everyone will look at you very strangely. They might even ask if you're pregnant, which, not to reveal anything really, but yes, I am. From there we travel to Manchester. Why, you ask? Well, little do you know, that's the same question everyone asks when they travel to Manchester. Now we're stuck here for 12 hours, and all we have in this city is, what, football? Smiths? Well, I don't play football, or watch it for that matter, and I'm far too busy to wallow in the sorrow while listening to Smiths, or meeting any lunatic at a cemetery gate, so I guess I'll stop in a restaurant for some of that world-renowned British food. From here we take a flight to Munich, where I'll have to travel around the city at midnight looking for a sketchy campsite that only has a flimsy tent in freezing weather. Really great planning on my part. Here I am at my temporary home for the next couple of days. It's a little tent by the river here. You can see me looking around for something. Don't worry, I'm just making sure I didn't leave my dignity anywhere. But luckily I remembered I never had any. And now it's morning, and it's Sunday, so no Oktoberfest. Instead, I'm going down to Neuschwanstein Castle, one of the most famous castles in the world. It seems like a decent use of time, and then I can finally see if the Nazis stored Walt Disney's corpse there, like Alex Jones told me.
Guten Tag allerseits. Es ist Montag. Und hier in München, das bedeutet Oktoberfest. To any of my German speakers in the audience, I sincerely apologize for my terrible grammar. That's 4 years of study straight down the drain. For everyone else, let's kick this off. My very first temptation came at the large tent, where I thought people would make fun of me if I didn't drink anything, to which they did. Later in the day, a leftover beer on a table caught my eye, almost breaking my streak. And at the end of the day, well, we don't need to worry about that.
I got a couple things done while I was at Oktoberfest. Hopped on the Ferris wheel, rode this roller coaster called the Höhlenblitz, and another one which had a very strange name that was hard to read. I think it was called like the Cheese Bath Sun or something. I don't know. It was a fair amount of fun just going about the fair, buying some ice cream, having some great food. They had some fantastic spätzle there. Lots of people, getting to see so many people. But at the end of the day, the most interesting thing here is, would you recommend Oktoberfest? And to be honest, I have to say no. The reason for this is that it's basically just like any state fair. If you're going to spend all the money to fly out to Munich, especially if you're coming from somewhere like the United States, I would say it'd be much more worth it to just go to your local fair. They have most of the same rides. They have a lot of the same haunted houses as you've seen on display in my footage here. And they have a lot of the same foods, the funnel cakes, the pretzels, of course, the beer. That being said, there are a couple of things unique to Oktoberfest, like the currywurst, but even the pommes you can find at just about anywhere in the US. So ultimately, Oktoberfest, maybe not for everyone, and maybe that's okay, We're not all here to drink, are we? We've made it through Oktoberfest without a drink, but the adventure isn't quite over. First, we have to fly to Paris and wander around most of the night, waiting for a layover. Here I am flying to the city of piss and love and shit, and I am tired, so I'm not going to leave the airport, plus I have class tomorrow. Good night. Alcoholism. A disease that affects millions across the globe. In 2019 alone, alcohol use accounted for 2.07 million deaths in males and almost 400,000 deaths in females globally. This is a disease that doesn't only affect the person who themselves is an alcoholic, but perhaps millions of others who have to face the consequences of their actions, whether this be drunk driving, spousal abuse, or many other kinds of drunken shenanigans. Alcohol across human history has been one of the biggest killers, whether that be due to liver failure or aforementioned problems that come along with it. In 2016, globally, alcohol misuse was the 7th leading risk factor for premature death and disability, and this number has only increased. Underage drinking and general drinking culture, mostly propagated by social media, has led to huge amounts of deaths and problems developed by adolescents who otherwise would have had bright futures. Countless children, wives, husbands become victims of abuse due to alcohol misuse and addiction. Alcohol misuse is one of the leading causes of child abuse, domestic violence, rape, burglary, and assault. It is also a leading factor in marital conflicts and divorce worldwide. Alcohol can even induce DNA damage, which, when not properly repaired, may have a key role in neurotoxicity and can lead to a handful of other things such as alcohol poisoning or liver failure. A lot of major organizations such as WHO and the European Union have tried to implement alcohol policies to reduce this harm that can happen, but even that is a small step and hasn't really managed to do much, as we can see by the existence of something like Oktoberfest happening in the EU. In 2018, there were 10,511 alcohol-impaired driving fatalities, totaling almost 30% of all traffic fatalities for the year. And keep in mind, traffic fatalities are one of the highest causes of death in both the US and worldwide. An estimated 15 million people struggle with alcohol use disorder in the US. but only about 10% of them ever retrieve treatment. Teen alcohol use kills almost 5,000 people each year. That's more than every single illegal drug combined. Drunk driving costs, in terms of what the US has to actually pay, is almost $200 billion every year. Binge drinking dramatically increases the risk of sexual assault on women, especially in college settings. And this is not just an American problem. If, for instance, we look here in Ireland, where I am, we can see that there's an entire Wikipedia page on alcoholism in Ireland, which should be no surprise considering the extremely prevalent pub culture. In all, alcohol is one of the most dangerous psychoactive substances that a person can take. In fact, it's one of the few drugs where you can die very easily from withdrawal, which doesn't even necessarily apply to a lot of opioids. So why is it legal? Why is it available so easily to minors and to just people who are going to do terrible things based off of it? Well, there's a lot of questions to that, and to why other drugs such as tobacco are so legal and readily available. Most of it has to do with productivity and work. Alcohol is a way to easily control the masses and have them not notice the systemic problems that are causing the major complications in their everyday life. It's also a lot easier to regulate in some forms than other drugs such as opioids, although those are massively prescribed by doctors and are another huge leading cause of death, especially in the US. The point I'm trying to make with this is that alcohol is incredibly dangerous. It should not be taken lightly, and in a lot of ways, it should not be the social starter that it is. However, our culture is to a point where it's almost impossible to overcome this kind of association with alcohol and its effects. So what's the solution here? I don't know. There's plenty of organizations such as Smart Recovery or ones for sobriety that try to deal with this problem or try to at least curb the damage alcoholism can do. But in the end, it's only a small step. We need some kind of systemic regulation that's a lot stronger than what we have now to help avoid this problem. I know this sounds like a joke in the middle of this joke video, but I am very serious, and I just want to draw attention to the problems that alcoholism can cause.
So we did it. We survived Oktoberfest without a drink. Or so you thought. Little did you know, your whole reality is a lie. Everything you understand as truth is nothing but fiction. In fact, you don't even know anything that's happening. Not only did I drink, but I stayed in a hotel for the second night, almost freezing to death that first night at the campsite. And that part that showed me walking around the campsite, that wasn't even my site. It was filmed the day after I left at some random dude's site. I also spent the night in Paris and lost my hat and coat in a blunder that made me want to end my life.
And spent the night contemplating in a station of the metro the apparitions of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough.
Even got pickpocketed. That's a story for another day. In fact, all the plane footage was taken from Air France during my Paris voyage. I specifically took the U-Bahn back just to film this specific footage here. I shot this footage of Dublin in the airport long after I had returned, weeks after, in fact, when I was flying back out to London. Or maybe that's a lie too.
I didn't even mention the part where I accidentally fell in with the Peruvian mob in Munich and had to get strung along all day by a drunk Peruvian man who worked as a tattoo artist and owed the whole mob money.
And here's footage of me drunkenly stumbling around. But even that's a lie, because men are never drunk. Oh yeah, and remember that part where I said it's Sunday, so no Oktoberfest? Yeah, that was a straight up lie. In fact, the weekend is probably the busiest time for Oktoberfest, including Sunday.
What I want you to take from this is the fact that nothing is real. Well, anyway, that was Oktoberfest and alcoholism. I hope you enjoyed.